Welcome to class number one. Yeah, it's the 12 o'clock class as opposed to the 1 o'clock class for all you St. Louis followers. I'm Grandmaster Ben Finegold, and you're not. And today we're going to have a fun class. Normally we're very serious, and I tell you about squares, and the people in the audience are furrowing their brow in a vain attempt to understand the situation. However, today we're going to talk about something I've never spoken about because I'm a vegetarian, and that is, anyone?
Meat?
Close, the fried liver attack.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible. Okay, now, the reason there's no games at the Grandmaster level with the fried liver, which is funny because our first game was a Grandmaster game.
Was it all vegetarian?
Correct. But the actual reason, although your reason's funnier than mine, the actual reason is that to start the fried liver, which is very interesting, mainly for its name, both sides have made a tiny error. Although when I say tiny, black's made a big error. Okay, so unfortunately, people don't know what openings are. They think they're random moves in some, ethereal, space, time, and actually they're very specific. Okay, so for example, if you play knight g5 in any opening, all of my students go, ooh, the fried liver.
What?
Okay, the fried liver is a very technical position which occurs after the following moves. Okay, and black plays what move here? Anybody? You!
No.
Incorrect. Wait, you're correct. What's wrong with you? Have you been to my class before? No? Oh, that's why. He gave the correct answer. He's never been here before. Right, knight f6. Now, grandmasters, for the most part, play bishop c5. In fact, that move was played today in the game Karyakin-Carlsen. Okay, and their game finished about an hour ago and they had a draw. During our lesson, the game finished. Okay, knight f6 is more interesting. That's the two knights. And again, most grandmasters play d3. Okay, recommended by Niels Bohr, right? Because it's very boring. However, this isn't a boring class. This is an exciting class. Knight g5. Now, in this position, black plays d5, which is the normal move. In our next lecture, we're going to look at something else. Our lecture at 1:30. But in this lecture, we're looking at d5. And some of you in this class may be familiar with this motif. Dangerous, right? When I go to a scholastic tournament, which I'm going to on Wednesday, the K-12 Nationals. You going there, Ocean?
Wait, what?
I gave you a softball question. Are you going to the Nationals?
No.
You are going.
What? Oh, I am.
And you gave the wrong answer. Okay, it's in Florida next week, or for you at home 10 weeks ago. Okay, and when I go to scholastic tournaments, and this is the threat, like about 80% of the time, black does nothing about it and just loses. That's very common. I see h6, I see bishop c5, I see queen e7. Okay, but you don't want the guy to go here, because that would be a good move. So you play d5, and now after taking at the top level, there's one move that very strong grandmasters make. Does anybody know what that move is? He said as he takes some water. You with the right answer.
Knight d4.
Knight where?
d4.
No, knight g4 is not so bad actually. That's a move. Yeah, that's not the most common move. That is a move. Knight g4 is super complicated. Okay, after knight g4, like this is the main line. Okay, I'm too old for this, right? I don't want to look at that. I'm too old. Okay, so the actual main move is knight a5. Notice how it attacks the bishop, right? It does, yeah. Okay, and there's many, 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 many hundreds of grandmaster games in this position. However, that's not the fried liver, so we're not going to look at it. The fried liver is when black makes a move he shouldn't make. Knight takes d5. And now, I would think most grandmasters would play d4 in this position. Okay, and I consider d4 the best move.
Most of us.
Now, pay attention. Black wants to take this knight because I said so, right?
Yeah.
Right. After d4, you can't take that knight because I protected it. If you play knight takes d4, I play c3, and all your knights are lined up to be captured. Very suspicious. Probably good for white. Okay, So d4 I think is the best move, but that's not the fried liver either. What's the fried liver?
Knight takes G7. That's F7.
Knight takes f7. Okay. Now, unfortunately, when any kid goes up to me and sees a knight on g5, they say it's the fried liver. It could be any position in chess. This is the fried liver, and only this. It has to be this move order and these moves. Now, in the 1700s and 1800s, which was before you were born, this was pretty common. And then people were like, I hate getting checkmated, so it became less common. Now, nobody plays it. However, I found a game played 3 years ago between two grandmasters. I can't believe I found that game. These are two crazy grandmasters, Shirov and Sulskis. Okay, they're both sort of crazy. Obviously, black takes the knight, and white obviously plays
Queen F3.
Queen F3 check. Notice it's check because I said so. And you're attacking the knight twice. Right? There's only one move black can play to get out of check and save his knight.
King E6.
King E6. Okay? And this is the beginning of the fried liver. Every game we look at will start from this position. Black is up a piece, but black's king is very suspicious. On the other hand, these pieces haven't moved yet, so we got something going on. White always plays the obvious move.
Knight C3.
Right. And now, there's actually two moves for black, and people play both of them. Okay, obviously, you have to save your knight. Your knight's attacked a lot. What are the two moves that protect your knight?
Queen and the king.
Yeah, but make a move for black that protects his knight again.
Knight B4.
Knight b4, and what's the other one?
Knight E7.
Right, and both moves are play. We're going to look at both moves. Okay, now, there's two words you never heard of unless you're an adult, like this guy. And those words are theory and practice. And even though you've heard those words, you didn't know what they meant. Theory is what happens in theory. That means, I think that's going to happen. Practice, bless you, practice is what actually happened. Okay? So in theory, I'm not going to punch this wall. I've never punched that wall. I just punched the wall. So in practice, I punched that wall. In theory, I wasn't going to do it. Right? In theory, the computer says maybe black is okay. Black's up a piece. In practice, if we look at actual games that were finished, white's crushing black. And the reason is, it's hard to play black. It's easy to play white. White goes rawr and starts attacking. And black's like, how do I defend this? Why is my king on e6? Okay? So the computer might say black is okay, but when people play, white's always winning. Now, if two supercomputers played, I don't know. But when two humans play, white's doing well. So with the black pieces, I wouldn't recommend this opening. Okay, black played knight b4. Now some of you are like, oh boy, I'm going to fork the king and rook. The problem with doing that is you're undefending this knight, so you're still getting checkmated. Okay, white played a3, and he's like, hey, why don't you take my rook so I can crush you on d5? And black said, no talking. Okay. Black took, agreed. The king attacked the knight. Now both of these knights are attacked. That's a lot of knights that are attacked. Knight takes rook. Now if you're counting, black is up a rook and a knight. That's a lot. Okay, but here comes white. Rawr! Knight takes d5. Now you're kids, except for you, so you like to put your opponent in check. When you put your opponent in check, you pick your phone up and you start calling everybody you ever met. I put my opponent in check. Hold on. Then you call somebody else and tell them, right? No. Okay. Putting your opponent in check is like saying the sun is out. It has nothing to do with whether you win or lose the game, but you still like it. Okay. White, unlike you guys, likes to win. You guys like to put your opponent in check. Okay. White's rating is 2,700. If he puts his opponent in check, then the king will move away. If he doesn't put his opponent in check, he has a lot of threats. He's threatening double discovered, triple check with a cherry on top, right? You see all the checks he's threatening? Every move is check. Scary, isn't it? Okay. So knight takes d5 is a scary move. He played king d6, getting rid of all the checks. Smart guy. Okay. And again, when the bishop is lined up with your king, advantage bishop. So he moved his king out of the way. D4. That way he gets to attack with the pawn, and his bishop gets to attack. In this position, were these guys attacking? No. Now, rawr. Now you might say, black's up a lot of material. And I'm like, stop moving your arms. Well, the problem is, this knight's not very helpful. I don't think you're going to keep that knight. And your other pieces are here, except your king. Boo! So black's king is out, and white has all these pieces near the king, and here comes another one. So very suspicious for black. Bishop e6, developing a piece. Now, if the king goes here, that's not safe at all. The king can't go anywhere. But if we go here, now when the king goes here, maybe we're going to be safe. And then black will have a lot of extra material. Rook e1, getting the rook into the game. Is that rook good in the corner?
No.
Rook e1, now it's good. b5, attacking the bishop. The bishop's defending the knight, so he wants the bishop to move away from the knight so he can take the knight. Knight b4, a move that black obviously missed. And let's go back. In this position, this pawn is protecting c6, and none of you care. You're like, so? Who cares about that? Then when black played b5, is that pawn protecting c6? No. Does any of you care? No. But white did. White played knight b4, and he said, I'm going to play queen check, and queen takes bishop checkmate. That'll teach you to undefend the c6 square. c6 is next to the black king, so we can get him there, can't we? Well, the problem is, if you defend c6 with your queen, then you're undefending your rook in the corner.
So you play queen e8?
You could play queen e8, although, man, if I play rook takes e5, I don't know, man. It's a tough position, isn't it? It's harsh. Okay, he took on c4. He's like, give me the bishop. White obviously played queen c6 check. King e7 is the only legal move. Bishop g5 check. And what do I like to say? The truth hurts. Good move, huh? King f7 is the only legal move. Takes the queen. Takes back. Queen takes, forking the king and rook. Queen takes e5. Now we're lined up against this bishop. What's the material situation? They both have a rook. They both have a knight. And white has a queen for a rook and two bishops. What's better, a queen or a rook and two bishops? What's usually better? Rook and two bishops is better, but I don't know about this rook. Is that a good rook?
No.
How about that queen? Now you're talking, right? Is that knight safe? No. So the rook and bishop haven't moved yet, and I'm already threatening checkmate. So he defended checkmate. d5, attacking the bishop. Queen f4 check. Queen takes c4. Now this knight's a goner. That was his only hope. Are these good pieces for black?
No.
How about that one?
No.
Boo! Who has more pawns?
White.
Yeah, so white is not only attacking, white has more material now. And he wrapped it up. Check. Rook e6. Uh-oh. Black can't move anything. g6. If he takes with a rook, takes. What's the winning move for white? Who can find the fork? Can anybody find it? I can find it. How do we fork these
Queen D3.
pieces? Yeah, this is not defended. Queen d3 check.
I was going to say queen a2.
Then the knight could go to b3. Okay, so he played rook e6, defending. Rook takes g6. Bam! Looks like it's defended, doesn't it?
No.
What happens if he takes it?
Queen e6.
Queen e6 check, winning the other rook. Yeah. So after rook g6, black did something that was totally amazing.
He's like,
He gave up. Let's see what the computer says. Man, those are some pretty high numbers, aren't they?
What are those numbers?
So each one is a pawn's worth. So the computer thinks white is up 8 pawns, like a queen up, even though material's about equal. About. Because it doesn't like the black king, it doesn't like the black knight, it doesn't like this passed pawn, it doesn't like that black's down 4 pawns. Yeah. Well, usually when it's +1 or +2, it's a winning position. This is +9. You always look at the first move. That's the best line of play.
Alexei has 1, 2, 3.
Right, that's the first line. That's the second line. That's the first line says white's up 9 points. That's saying if black plays the best move, it thinks white's up 9 points. That's bad. That's good for white. Yeah. So in that game, did black ever get his king safe? Nah. Did black lose his queen? Yeah. Did black lose all of his pawns? Yeah, that wasn't so good. And black was a grandmaster. Yeah. Chess is tough. Okay, next game. Now, the next game was a blitz game. And you might say, how do I know about a blitz game? Well, this opening is a little suspicious. So usually in blitz games, they play, not in real games. And nowadays, with all the computer technology, they record blitz games. So we can see silly games. Now, you guys memorize the opening because it's always the same, right? See how it's always the same? Now, the last game we looked at, what did black play?
Knight b4.
Knight b4. Okay, and then Shirov's like, go take my rook, I dare you. That's what happened. He played knight e7, also defending his knight. White castled. c6 defend. This is a very common line. d4 opening up the center. And black plays king d6. Now, 150 years ago, people were taking this pawn, which opens up the line to the king. That's not a good idea. That's a terrible idea. And people were getting crushed. And in fact, there was more than one game which led to the same checkmate. So people stopped doing that. Yeah. In fact, I'll show you, this is, more than one game went like this. Pretty funny, actually. What does black do here?
b6.
Bishop d6. And now white has an amazingly crushing move. It's the most crushing.
Rook e7.
Rook e7. Then I play queen takes e7.
Queen c5.
Yeah, queen c5 check. Bam. This position has actually occurred more than once, although it was 200 years ago. And in one of the games, Morphy was white, and he spotted the guy a rook. So this rook was actually off the board. He took the rook off before the game started. Give him a chance. The guy didn't have too much of a chance. Okay, and actually I saw this in other games too, and then black gets checkmated. Or you can get checkmated this way. Either way. Okay. Anyway, people realized that taking on d4 was not a good idea. So they ran away with their king. Run. And these guys are grandmasters also. Bishop g5, pinning the knight. So remember this knight was protecting this knight?
No.
Now it's pinned. So now you got to watch it. So white is attacking with everything, and black is moving his king a lot, and most of his pieces are on the back rank. So this was popular in the 1800s, and then people were like, I keep getting checkmated. Let's play some other opening, right? And then that's why there's almost no games now in this line. Blitz game. Bishop e6, rook e1. Here comes a rook. Notice white moves a different piece every move, right? Moves the rook, he's with this rook, and then black's going to be like that. Aw. Takes, opening up the position, knight e4 check, queen g3 check. Black makes a lot of king moves. That's pretty good. No, that's not good. If black plays king d7, there's two moves that are super crushing. Who can find one?
Queen d6.
Queen d6 is pretty crushing. What's the other one?
Knight c5.
Knight c5. Man, they're both crushing. So he didn't do that. King b6, queen check, knight d6, playing for the win. Hooray. Threatening rook takes bishop. Queen d7, a4. Uh-oh, here comes more attackers. Man, this guy's mean. a5 stopping it. Queen e5 in the center. Where's the queen going next to move? D4 or E6. It's a fork. Man, chess is tough. Knight G6 attacking the queen. He took on D4 as you espoused. C5. Queen D3. Now he wants to play Queen B3 check. Rawr. Queen takes D6. Rook a d1, getting the last piece. So now white's down 2 pieces, but he's attacking everything. Right? And black's making a lot of king moves. This is the kind of game I would expect to see in a scholastic tournament. Black's moving his king every move. White's giving all his pieces away. That's the way they played 200 years ago. Now we play boring. This game was played last year, but it was a blitz game. They're playing 5 minutes each. So they're playing sort of silly. H6 attacking the bishop. Rook takes e6. What tactic is that called? It has a name.
Remove the guard deflection.
Removing the guard, deflection, removing the defender. This piece is defended a lot, and white's like, no, it's not. Bam. So black's made a lot of king moves, but didn't move these pieces at all. What would I say if I was his coach?
It's not working.
Boo! And I'll tell you something none of you know, but you can guess. You can guess wrong. Who's going to guess right?
You?
Me. The guy who has black, I'll give you guys a hint. He coached somebody you've heard of. He was his coach for years. Who have you heard of in chess? No, he didn't coach me. Good answer. You mentioned his name today.
How old is he? How old is
This guy is older than me, if that's possible. Maybe he's not older than
he?
me.
Coach Kasparov.
Close. You
Uh,
named a world champion. That's good.
Fisher.
No, now you're going the wrong way.
Fisher.
No.
Carlson?
There you go. He was Magnus Carlsen's coach when Magnus was a kid. He got good because of that guy. Yeah. Agdestein. And unlike every chess player who ever lived, not only was he professional chess player, he was professional soccer player. And actually, he wasn't playing a lot of chess. Then he played a lot of chess because he broke his leg. Then he was playing chess. Yeah. And actually, he has so many leg problems, he couldn't play soccer anymore. He had some issues. He was a striker for the Norwegian national team. Okay. I met him before all of you were born. Even you maybe, but maybe not. Okay. So he's a professional chess coach and grandmaster, but he's moving his king every move and getting crushed. Boo. Okay, queen d6, queen b3 check, and checkmate. Bam. I have a question. Did black move these pieces the whole game? No. Did he move that?
Yeah.
Like every move. What about white? White moved all his pieces.
And then his king.
Yeah, that was castled. That was good. So that game, that's why people don't play that with black, especially in a blitz game. In a blitz game, you can't defend properly, and the guy keeps attacking you. That's no fun. Well, it's fun if you have white. I wonder which one of them is higher rated.
Why?
Okay, now I'll tell you something else you didn't know. Here's something else you didn't know. The guy who had white, his brother is also 2,600. They're the only brothers I know who are both 2,600 in the world. Yeah, Zhigalko and Zhigalko. This guy's the higher rated of the two. His brother's good too. Okay, it's the Zhigalko brothers. Okay, now this is actually very funny. I have to tell you a story. Notice the year the game was played. 1620. Now, Greco was a great chess player. However, I would say at least 50% of his games in the database are not games. They're analysis he did. Then he's like, here's a game I beat somebody, but it wasn't really a game. It was just analysis. Notice his opponent has no name, NN, right? So if his opponent had a name, he was like, I didn't play that game. Now you can't complain because there's no name. Yeah. So some of these games that Greco played, they weren't really games. He just analyzed positions. But some of them, maybe they were. I don't know. Okay, they started the same way because I said so. And what are the two moves black can play? Knight b4, knight e7. This was knight e7. Cast. This is the same as the last game. It's the same. Rook e1. In the last game, what did white play?
D4.
Yeah, played d4, and black played king d6. Here he played rook e1, bishop d7. That's a terrible move. It makes it harder for the king to get back. That blocks the king. Also, why is the bishop there? How's that helping him?
Why do you think the guy moved the bishop to begin with?
Well, I think it's a made-up game. I think they're just showing how white can crush black if he doesn't play well. Yeah. Well, a lot of people just do what they're told. Get your pieces out. And they move their pieces to bad squares. And I'm like, well, get your pieces out, but your king is on e6. How about getting your king somewhere safe? And then that makes it hard to get the king somewhere safe. And it does something else bad. Notice the queen is protecting the knight, and now it's not. So that does two things that are bad. I don't like it. d4, obviously. King d6 running away. Rook takes e5. Knight g6 attacking the rook. Now there's another blunder because this knight's defending this knight and he undefends it. I would run away with my king. Run, right? That's what I would do. Knight takes knight. He undefended his knight. Let's take it. Knight takes rook. Pawn takes. And white sacrificed more material, but black can't move his king back. So that's crazy. So two grandmasters wouldn't play this way now because black would never have his king up there like that. Unless it was a 1 minute game and they were kidding, then maybe. King c5. Queen a3 check. Man, that's a good move. Now, who's the smartest person in the class? What's the only move black can play?
Taking the bishop.
Oh, I didn't see that. So you are the smartest. I only saw king d4. I didn't even see king takes bishop.
You can take the bishop.
You can. Kings move that way. Yeah. And he did. He made the move that you said. Yeah. Queen d3 check. There's only one move now, right?
Yeah, back to c8.
Back to c5.
Then b4.
Is b4 mate?
No.
When you say no, do you mean yes?
Yeah, I did.
Is it b4 mate?
Yeah.
I didn't see b4 mate. I saw another mate.
C4 mate, no.
See, the reason I saw it is I get all my pieces out. Rawr.
Oh, bishop e6.
Bishop e3 looks like mate.
King of what?
I think he played b4 because that's funnier. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. So did black move all of his pieces out?
No.
He did move his king a lot. That move helped.
He did.
No. So in these games, now I have to go back. Normally when kids play in kids tournaments or beginners are playing, they play sort of crazy. Then when they get better at chess, they play less crazy. However, if you're playing crazy and your opponent's walking his king up the board, then which one of you is crazy? Probably not you. So I don't mind when you sacrifice material if your opponent's king goes for a walk and they don't move any of their pieces. I don't like when you sacrifice material just for no reason because it's fun. Then I'm like, hey, you're down 4 pieces. What are you doing? But black's play doesn't make a lot of sense. You shouldn't move your king up. And you shouldn't leave all your pieces on the back row. And white's using lots of his pieces. So that's fair. Also, this guy has a name and that guy has no name. I know who to bet on. It's like the star of the movie. I know who's not going to get killed. The guy who's the star of the movie. The guys I don't know, they're in trouble.
This is the new Star Wars movie.
Exactly. There's a funny joke on one of the shows I watch. I don't know which one it was. Probably Family Guy. And they're watching Star Trek, which is like Star Wars, but it's different. And on Star Trek, they're like, we should go down to that planet. I'll go, the senior officer, and this ensign we never heard of. And the guy's like, oh, he's the guy who's going to get killed. We never heard of him. He knows. He's like, oh, not me. That's not good. Yeah. Okay, now this is very funny, except you guys won't know why it's funny. I'll try to explain it. The guy who has the white pieces, he's a very strong grandmaster who was a candidate for the world championship, and he was top 10 in the world. And the reason this is funny is this game was played in 1969, and I don't know any of his games before like 1982. But then I noticed, when I looked at the description of the game, where the game was played, it says the under 14 championship. That means he was under 14 years old. That's why I don't know this game. Okay, so in 1969, that was the year I was born. And so I know this guy from the 1980s and 1990s when he was top 10 in the world. This is when he was a little kid. When he was top 10 in the world, he played boring. This is under 14, so he sacks all his pieces. That's more fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so same opening by transposition. What are the two moves that black can play here?
Knight e7 and knight b4.
Okay, this guy went to b4. Now Shirov, he played a3 in the first game we looked at. And Speelman played d4. He wants to get the king right away. c6, defending the knight. Queen e4, pinning the pawn, attacking it, and defending the c pawn. It's a 2-for-1. King f7, running away. So far, we've seen people run this way, then they go this way, then they go this way. This guy went here right away. a3. Now if you take the pawn, it's defended. And that's called removing the defender. This defender is defending that guy, so we attack it. And you might say, I'm confused. If you play knight here, then you can't remove the defender. The problem with knight here is it blocks the bishop. And remember the bishop was pinning the knight one game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so wherever you move the knight, you have some issues. At least the bishop can get out this way. Queen a5, pinning the pawn. See how it's pinned?
Yeah.
Okay. He takes it anyway. Black plays the obvious move. Yeah, he took the rook. Yeah. Knight takes knight. Queen takes bishop check. Queen takes rook. Black took everything. And did white give up?
No.
No, because look at that king. Look at this bishop. Right. So in this game, black moved his king and queen and left all of his pieces at home. Is that what I taught you? No. And white moved all of his pieces out, attacking the king. Now this is why chess is difficult. Because if I do something bad and you do something bad, which one is more bad? For example, I tell him to clean his room and he takes a nap. I tell you to clean your room and you burn the house down. Right?
He's better. No, wait, he's worse. He's worse.
Well, it depends. Okay. So the point is, here both sides did something bad. Black didn't move any of his pieces, just his king and queen. Ridiculous. And white gave all his pieces away. Ridiculous. So if white checkmates black, what black did was worse. If white doesn't checkmate black, black's up 1,000 pieces. That's why good players calculate and they figure it out. Now, the guy with black, nobody's ever heard of him. John Fletcher, he's like a bookkeeper somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and maybe he's a bookmaker. He's in London, who knows? Now, the guy with white, he became world championship candidate. So he probably calculates better than black does. Knight c7 check. Notice it's check because I said so. And he stops the king from going here. And he's attacking the rook just in case.
Knight f6.
Knight f6? No, he played here.
Why not?
Let's go back. So knight f6, you were hoping I would take it, and then you would go check.
No, it doesn't matter if you take it because it stops the king from going to e8 and later.
Also stops. Yeah, but your knight's not defended too much.
But later you're gonna play queen e5.
Yeah, what's happening here? I'm too old for this position.
And then you play bishop e6.
Yeah, I'm still too old. You didn't realize how old I was.
Because you play queen e4.
How old are you?
Now what do I do? G5 or king h5?
Oh, g5.
Okay,
H5.
you said so.
Wait, what? And then you play queen f4, f6. And then g4. I don't know. Actually g4.
Oh, no.
You play
No, I want to go back. I think I just saw something.
Check.
Maybe.
Uh-oh. The truth hurts. So now you know why he didn't do that. Also, after knight f6, I could play bishop e6. I could develop a piece for once in my life.
I saw.
If we start trading pieces, that's not good for white. White wants a lot of pieces to mate me with. After knight c7, which he played, bishop e6 looks a little silly, right? Yeah. Okay, he played king e7. Rawr, rawr. Then he went rawr. Why did he make such a loud noise? King d7 takes the rook. Now, the reason he took the rook is he has queen c7 check and bishop e6 check and check and check and check. And black has good development. No, I'm just kidding. Queen takes g2, blunder, and white has mate in 2, but only my smart students can find it. I know I can't. Checkmate in 2 moves, recommended by me.
queen c7 and then bishop f7.
Wait, that guy's right. You must be the highest rated player in the room.
No.
No, Christopher. What? Ooh, Okay. Oh, me? Yeah, I am high rated. Who's high rated, me or the 5 of you added up? It's close. Okay, so check. And then black gave up because after this, checkmate. Black has good development. I mean, he didn't develop anything. That's what I meant. Yeah. That's funny because the guy with white, he doesn't play like that, but he did when he was under 14, I guess. He was like, rawr, sack all my pieces and mate you. Isn't that fun? Okay. Now, I tell my students never sacrifice, play boring, but if your opponent's king is going to walk up the board and he never moves his pieces, okay, I'm flexible. Right? I just don't like people sack their pieces and go, now what do I do? I like when they sack their pieces, their opponent's pieces never move. I like that. That's reasonable. Okay, last but not least. Now, this is actually very funny. Okay, the guy with white, he's playing a gambit, but he invents another gambit. I didn't know he played this gambit. I'll show you what I'm talking about. In the Petrov defense, you guys ever seen that position?
Yeah.
Okay, after this, what's the most common move for black?
To kick the knight out with d6.
D6. Okay, and every grandmaster in the world plays knight f3. However, there's the Cochrane gambit.
You play,
Don't do that.
You ignore the knight.
Don't do that. Don't do that means don't do that. Yeah. You don't ignore the knight, you sacrifice. Rawr! Knight f7, the Cochrane gambit. Okay? And in Super Grandmaster play that I know of, this happened once. Topolov Kramnik, and they drew. And I faced it once against...
Yourself.
No, what was that guy's name? I see his face. Mac Molnar, also Mackenzie Molnar. We call him Mac. And we drew. So the 2 games I know of where grandmasters were involved, there was a draw. And this is called the Cochrane Gambit. And there he is. There's Cochrane. There he is. So he would sacrifice his knight and say, aha, you moved your king. And then black would say, aha, I'm up a knight. So, suspicious. You, incorrect.
My social study teacher's name is Cochrane.
That's who the gambit's named after. Okay. All right. Anyway, this is another game, and he's playing Rufus and Doofus. The guy has 2 titles. Okay, so he played bishop c4, and they transposed into this gambit we keep talking about. Now, the reason I'm showing you this game was played in 1856, and I did something when I looked at this opening. Here's what I did. I clicked reference, which is a chess-based thing, and what it does is, whenever you click reference, it tells you every move ever played in order. That's the most common, that's the next common. Don't do that. Then it tells you who played them, like Kasparov or Carlsen. Then it tells you the percentage. White scores 80%, white scores, okay. And what I did was, I looked at the most common move in every position, and it was this game. And I'm like, wow, 1856, and they played the most common move in every position. I was shocked. So black played knight e7, which is the most common. White played d4, which is the most common. Black played c6, which is the most common. Bishop g5. And this is always the number 1 move. It doesn't mean it's the best move. It's the move people play the most often. h6, which is the most common. He takes it. Which way did he take? With a knight? No, that happens in the Scholastic tournament when the kids play illegal moves. Yeah. Okay, can't do that. Takes with a bishop. Castles. And every move that both sides played was the most common move in that position. Okay, then the game ended pretty soon. Now, we were talking earlier, like when do you castle queen side, when do you castle king side? Well, here, white doesn't really care about the safety of his own king. He cares about crushing the black king. Now, obviously, if I castle queen side, my rook is already in play. If I castle king side, then my rook's doing nothing on f1. So, as far as attacking the black king, it makes a lot more sense to castle queen side and then put our rooks here. Rook f8 attacking the queen. Queen e4, pinning the e-pawn, attacking it. Rook f4 attacking the queen. Boy, that's a terrible move. Boo! I would go here. I'd still lose to knight takes and bishop d3. Wow, I'm still losing. Bishop d3. Okay, So you can't have your king here in chess. Don't do that anymore. Have your king somewhere else.
Wait, what happens if you king goes to H and then you play bishop D3?
Knight F6, X-clan. See, I'm a great defender. Right?
I already found a checkmate.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so he played rook F4.
Take the pawn, then you take
Now let me point something out for the audience. What's defending this rook? A pawn that's pinned and a knight that's pinned.
Oh.
Okay, also, I don't like the fact that black moves all of his pieces twice and moves these pieces 0 times. I don't like that. Okay, queen e5. Now, obviously, if king f7, this rook's just hanging because the knight's pinned. And if you don't see that, you can still take the knight with check and then take the rook, right? Yeah. If you play king d7, you get checkmated and you lose everything. Okay, he played king d7. Boo. The best move was resigns.
That wasn't a move.
Yeah, we played king d7. If only you knew how bad rook f4 was. Now, even though this was played in 1856, and basically I've heard of Morphy, and that's it, I still heard of this guy. The guy with white. The guy with black, have I heard of him? No, that's why he's playing rook f4, because he's giving everything away. Boo! Knight takes d5, taking a piece and attacking this twice. And now I have a funny story to tell you. The funny story is, even though white sacrificed a piece on move like 5, it's a gambit, now white's ahead material.
Oh, yeah.
So if your king's running around and you don't develop your pieces and your opponent's ahead material, that's bad, right? So rook f4, that's the worst move ever. I can prove it. Probably white's winning here, but it's probably close. Wow, it even says it's equal. Okay, so it's better for white. It says black has one equal move and otherwise black's in trouble. If I play rook f4, my computer will blow up and the lecture will end.
Do it.
It's going to say it's the worst move and this light's going to turn red. When it turns red, that means bad. Okay, rook f4, boo, terrible, right?
The player?
Yeah, rook f4 is terrible. Now white's winning. White's up 4, white's up 5. It should be all zeros. That's even. Yeah, well, that's because white just made a move. White's move was green. Black's move was red. Okay, then he took, bishop b5. Now white has a slight advantage because the game's over.
Yes.
That reminds me of the last checkmate Speelman did with his queen and bishop. You see the crisscross mate?
Yeah.
That was named after your favorite group, Crisscross.
No.
What?
Jump, jump.
No, they never heard of nothing.
Okay.
I can name any group they never heard of. It doesn't matter what it is. That group was before you were born. Rawr. If you thought you guys were bad, you should listen to them. Yeah. Then you'll jump, and so forth. What?
Wear your pants backwards and everything.
Yeah, I like this crisscross with the queen and bishop. We saw that in the last game too with Speelman, right? Yeah. Now let me ask you guys a question. If you play this opening, okay, you get this position. This was our starting position, remember? Do you want to have white or black?
Why?
Yeah, because even if black is okay, it's too hard. Your king's on e6. If the guy mates you, you lose. If the guy doesn't mate you, your king's still on e6. So you get mated later. So it's like always bad. It's like it's bad, and then if you escape, it's still bad.
That's why I don't play e4.
Oh.
But it's good for white. E4 is for white. You mean e5?
Yeah, I don't play.
Rawr. Okay, now this is funny. When I teach chess to children and beginners and novice players, usually they play crazy. And I'm like, calm down, develop your pieces, castle, control the center. And they're like, but I want to play crazy. Okay. And then this other coach that I know who's very boring like me, he likes when his kids play crazy. He's like, you got to play aggressive, you got to attack, you have to not be afraid, because kids are good at that. And beginners are good at like going, rawr. And when they play really boring, they don't like that. So you get them good at being aggressive and play attacking chess, and they're good at that. And then when they get higher rated, they'll appreciate boring and 90 move games and so forth, right? Now, when beginners play 90 move games, the last 40 moves is somebody's up 5 pieces. In fact, I saw that yesterday. I saw a game, white had a queen, a bishop, and a knight, and black had nothing. And it took white like 5 years to checkmate. He was trying to give his bishop and knight away on purpose, so he just have a queen, and the other guy wasn't taking him. So then he was like, and all the pieces were black. He was confused. Okay, so beginners and kids and novices, they like to attack and play for mate in the opening and middle game. They don't like long, boring end games. I like long, boring end games because I'm old. If it's like this, I'd rather have white because I like mating my opponent. On the other hand, I like being up a piece. But after looking at these games, I don't want to have black. It's too hard. Now, if we go back, the reason this isn't a popular opening is black usually plays knight a5, and in this position, white usually plays d4. Notice the bishop defends the knight, and if you take this and I play queen f3, you can't take my knight because it's defended, and I'm still attacking everything. Right? Okay. Shh. But if I play queen f3 here, you could take my knight. Yeah. So that's why they play knight takes f7. And that's called the fried liver. Now, the move knight f7 isn't the fried liver. This position is the fried liver. If you play knight, now here's what I mean. I'm looking at chess with some kid, and he's like the fried liver. And I'm like, that's just you giving your knight away for nothing. That's not the fried liver. The fried liver is this position. Okay? And people like it because of a funny name, not because it's a good opening. Although I think I'd have white because black's king is running around. That's crazy. Shouldn't be running around with your king. You should castle. Rawr. And that's why in this position, knight takes d5 is not common. Knight a5 is common. Attacking the bishop. Rawr. Yeah. And then there's a lot of games on this line. A lot. Yeah. Anyway, that was exciting. Not as exciting as our next lecture, which is the Traxler. Then black sacrifices a piece, and white's king runs up the board. And a lot of times, white doesn't take the piece. White says, I don't want that piece. You're scaring me. I want to play boring. Right? You agree?
No.
Well, you should. Okay. Now, before we leave, we're going to see who the smartest is. We're going to do a Varakobian. Who's heard of Varakobian? Nobody? It's number 5 in the U.S. Okay. When a Kobian gives a lecture, he sees if the kids remembered it. Okay, the adults do, the kids don't. Shh. Okay, we're going to get to the fried liver. Somebody say a move for white.
E4,
Yeah.
E5.
Yeah?
Knight f3.
Knight c6.
Bishop c4. Knight f6.
Right, and grandmasters usually play this nowadays, and now if you go here, that's bad.
Yay.
Right?
No, then you play
Yeah, it's still bad. Okay, now, the reason grandmasters play here is you can't play here. I'll take it. If you play here, then you can play here. So that's more to learn. If you don't want to do that, you play bishop c5. And a lot of grandmasters don't like these crazy lines, so they play boring, d3. Okay, but after this, now what?
D5.
d5. Next lecture is bishop c5, which I played, I think, 3 days ago. Yeah. d5. Now what? You take. Now, what's the most common move for black, which we didn't talk about? Knight a5 is the most common move. The move we talked about is this. And now?
Knight takes f7.
And which other move do I like for white?
D4.
d4. I like that move too. Okay, knight takes f7, king f7. Now what?
Queen f3.
Now what?
Then e6.
Yep, knight c3, and you can play here or here. And whichever one you play, white's doing really well. So I would take white in this position because, man, king over here. Who taught you that?
Nobody.
Yeah, not good. Even though black is up a piece in all the games we looked at, he's usually not developing his pieces. So how does that help you? If you get to an end game and you're up a piece, okay. All right, you guys did well, and now you can play Blitz forever, except you have to eat. And I'll give you a copy of my book,
How do you like bros?
Eat Like a Grandmaster. Okay, good job, guys.